to my YouTube channel. My name is Toluse Francis. If this is your first time on this channel, please do not hesitate to hit the subscription button, turn notification bell so that when new videos come up, you are aware and you're able to watch them. Now, I am here today and I want to discuss a very interesting topic with you. If you notice, my sitting arrangement today is very different for those of you who are returning subscribers. This is not how I usually sit. If you want to know how I sit, check out my previous videos, but today I decided to change my style because this particular topic that I want to discuss with us is very critical and it's very, it could be touchy, right? But it's something that I think we all need to talk about. And I'll share with you the genesis of this particular topic. So I had a conversation with a friend recently and she was talking about closure. And the fact that people say they are looking for closure, what exactly are they looking for? Sometimes we find ourselves opening up wounds that are already healing or that should have healed, all in the name of us looking for closure. And I found that very interesting. And so I sat down, reading about it. I said, you know what? Let me go share with my friends online what exactly my thoughts are about closure and then looking at studies and what people have to say. So today, we'll be discussing the topic closure, a myth or not. Don't go anywhere, I'll be right back. Welcome back. Now, when we talk about closure, what exactly are people talking about? A lot of times, people tell you that they want closure, and this happens in situations that have to do with their emotions. Two case in point that I'm going to share with you, or I will use to explain this particular topic, is one, when there's a loss of a loved one, right? When you have lost a loved one and you just want closure, that because you're not there when you lost that person, or you had issues with how the person died, the circumstances around the death of the person, and you just feel, no, I really need to close my mind towards, I really need to deal with this and all of that. The second case, and this is the one that is very, very prominent, is a breakup or the end of a marriage, the end of a relationship or the end of a marriage. And people are like, I need closure, I need closure, I need closure. Now, there is a branch of psychology called Gestalt psychology, and this was founded, this particular principle or school of psychology was founded in the 20th century, all right, and it has provided the principle or the basis for modern philosophy. Now, some of this modern philosophy brought us to the subject of closure. Let me put it that way. So, closure is a Gestalt psychology kind of thing. I don't know if you've watched some of my videos where I've shared with you that when you're hurting and you really think that you find it difficult to forgive someone, one of the things that you can do is put an imaginary empty chair in front of you, or even a physical empty chair in front of you, and imagine that the person who has hurt you is right in front of you. Did you remember that? And then talk to that chair as if you're talking to the person. This particular principle is under Gestalt psychology. So if you didn't know that today, now you know. So let's look exactly at what closure is. I've prepared some things here that I will be sharing with us from time to time, all right? So just come along with me. So I would like to say, at the end of this conversation, I will leave you to decide if closure is a myth or if it really exists. Now, like I said, after a tragic loss or a breakup, people look for closure. People tend to want to seal off that particular part of their lives so that they're able to move on. But in reality, what happens sometimes is you open up much more than what you have actually concealed. So sometimes we struggle with accepting the loss of something. We struggle with accepting that something is gone. We struggle with accepting that the relationship has come to an end. We struggle with accepting that we no longer have access to this thing. And the problem is that closure became a popular thing, all right, a pop culture kind of thing, a popular culture kind of thing. It wasn't many years ago. And psychologists have come out to say, look, closure really, does it exist? They have asked themselves that question and all of that. And so in my study, I found something that searching for permanent closure to emotional pain doesn't really exist, right? Instead, we are closing ourselves up to healthier ways of processing difficult experiences. So in our bid to seek closure, we are hindering ourselves from seeking healthier ways to coping or dealing with those terrible experiences or those traumatic experiences. In a bid to find closure, we are looking for the easy way out. In a bid to heal, rather, we are looking for an easy way out, and we are talking about closure, right? And so rather than you understanding that this circumstance does exist, this situation does exist, let me look for how I can get myself out of it, right? we are there struggling with the fact that I just want closure, I just want closure, I just want closure. All right. Now, the concept of closure, like I said earlier, comes from Gestalt psychology, and Gestalt psychology was founded many years ago, in the 20th century, if I can put it that way. And it began as a way of understanding how the mind perceives. So you would understand that closure is a perception, right? It's how you perceive the situation that you are in, right? And how you perceive what you're experiencing. And you think that doing this way would allow you to accept, understand that, okay, this thing has happened, but I want to know why. I want to know how. A lot of times people say they are seeking closure. All they are simply saying is, I want to know why this person did this to me. I want to know why this person behaved this way. I want to know why this person died. All right. And so they are seeking answers to questions that they literally are asking themselves, because they believe that when they're able to answer those questions or get answers to those questions, then whatever has happened, right, will either be justified or they're able to put the blame on someone. Sometimes people are seeking closure because they want to tell themselves that it wasn't my fault that this thing happened. They want to be able to look for who takes the blame, who takes responsibility. All right. Now, it began as a way of understanding how the mind perceives and processes images, and one of the principles of Gestalt perception is to seek closure. So even if an image is incomplete, right, Gestalt psychology says that the mind will process it as a complete circle. Do you understand my point now? Even if the image of a circle is incomplete, Gestalt psychology is saying that the mind will process it as a complete circle. Now, over time, this principle has crossed from different experiences and has become part of how people now process their life experiences. And so people now begin to seek closure to everything and anything. So if people have suffered or resolved trauma in the past, Gestalt explains to us that if you're not able to move on, or you will not be able to move on until the issue is closed. And that is what closure really means, that in your mind, you want to close the issue. And in a bid to give people that idea and that perception that this issue can be closed, then you have the empty chair therapeutic system, or the empty chair therapeutic technique, in which you place an empty chair before you and you have an imaginary person, or the person who has hurt you, sitting right in front of you, and then you're speaking to that person, trying to let off whatever it is that has hurt you. But the truth of the matter is, whether closure is real or not, we cannot deny the fact that it has become a panacea, or it has become, if I can look for an easier word to use, it has become, I'm looking for that word, but it has become a panacea for emotional pain, all right, to become deeply embedded, in the sense that it becomes a pseudo drug, if I can use that word, in the sense that you feel that what you're doing, you want to seek closure, right? And while it may not necessarily happen that way, because the mind perceives that that's what you're doing, the mind helps you to walk around that. And so it has become part of our lives as individuals that we now feel that we need closure for us to heal. Who doesn't want an happy ending? So irrespective of where we find ourselves, relationship ending, marriages ending, trauma and all of that, everybody wants a happy ending. You want to know why you lost this person. Why did this person die by suicide? Why did this person get hit by a car? How come this person died and all of that? Not because you'll be able to bring the person back to life, but you just want to have that ending of, oh, this person died not because it was my fault. One, this person died in this circumstance. I'm able to say, okay, fine. Now I know how this person died, right? I remember when I lost my mom at the age of 16, and when I got to the church, because I wasn't around when she passed, when I got to the church that morning, I insisted that I wanted to see her corpse. And everybody felt, don't open it to her. He's a small boy, he's very traumatic. I was like, I want to see her. I want to see her for the last time. For me, that was like, look, let me see that indeed this woman is gone, right? Let me see her state. And trust me, that was the first time I was seeing a dead body. I've seen a lifeless body before, but that was the first time I was seeing a dead body. I was like, you know what? I want to see this woman, right? And oftentimes find ourselves in such situations where we think that we can see the body of this person, then would attain closure, because at that point we are not able to say, yes, indeed, this person is gone. I mean, I do understand when it comes to the loss of a loved one that the inability to see the body of the person can be very traumatic. I completely understand that. And it's also because you won't be able to attach the fact that I saw his body or her body before it was lowered into the ground. And so for some persons, the ability to see that body before it's lowered into the ground helps a whole lot with closure. We must also now agree that in the real sense of it, this might just be our mind playing tricks on us. Now, let me share with you something here by a psychologist called Ashley Davis Bush. And she comes to say that the kind of closure peddled by pop culture isn't really achievable, neither should it be. And she says that, look, so she's an American, she says Americans like happy endings, but I think that every human being likes happy ending, right? And she says that naturally we're a feel-good society. As social beings, we like to feel good. And so whatever will make us feel good at the end of the day is what we are actually going to chase. Let me take it or leave it. And so she says that, look, in the end, people want to feel good about something. They want to feel good about a situation. They want to be able to take themselves off that track to say, look, I wasn't responsible for this thing. I did my best. This person that has hurt me, I want to be able to understand why this person did this. And like I often tell people, you may not always get the answers to the questions that you ask, especially when it involves another person. So what are you going to do? Get stuck? No, you've got to move on, right? So in the end, people are looking for answers just because they want to be able to move past that stage, because in their minds, they want to be able to say, no, it was this person's fault that this thing ended, it was this person's fault that this happened, and not necessarily my fault, right? So people want to honor loved ones, right? And so honoring a relationship with a deceased spouse doesn't mean that the widow or widower is stuck in the past or will be unable to form new relationships. In fact, it's the opposite. I'll share with someone recently that, look, the fact that you've lost a relationship, the fact that your marriage ended, and you are seated there mourning, feeling pain, doesn't mean that you would become a better person if you don't start a new relationship. In fact, in the end, it might be you starting a new relationship that will let you understand that relationships can be sweet and interesting. The fact that you had one experience, two experiences, doesn't mean that relationship in itself is bad. But when you sit there and all you're trying to do, you're trying to ask yourself, why did this person treat me this way? Why did this person do this to me? You would realize that time after time, you would begin to hurt yourself the more, because you'll be unearthing things that you naturally should let go. And let me just share something here. I know for some of you watching or who would watch it, you tell me that you're trying to heal. If there are no metrics for you to measure your healing, then you cannot say you're trying to heal. I'll repeat that again. In the journey of healing, everyone is trying, I agree. But you must have metrics by which you measure your progress towards healing. If you cannot measure your healing journey, then you're not healing. You continue to try until you age. You know why? The truth of the matter is, you're trying with your own understanding of trying. All that is needed to happen is just for one single situation, and then you flip, and then you realize that actually you're not healing. But as you check if you're able to check your journey, you can say, oh, this thought came to mind. You didn't feel sad, you didn't cry. Oh, great. A month ago, 2 weeks ago, I would have cried a bucket. So you have to measure your healing journey. Now, when people face divorces or breakups, they are seeking closure. It's not bad to seek closure if you're having a hard time moving on. It is not, right? But the truth of the matter is, closure is not that relevant. In my own dictionary, closure is not that relevant when you have a bad relationship, as much as you realizing that the relationship doesn't define you. There are elements to end of relationships that may bring closure, because that means that this particular thing has come to a close. For example, if it's a marriage that you went through separation, the closure might be at the point at which you signed the divorce papers and like, okay, now this has come to an end. Or perhaps moving out of a shared apartment at the end of a relationship or a marriage, you can say, okay, this particular one. So you have to think of what the specific closure is that you want to achieve. But to leave it blank, to say closure is what you want, then you just may find yourself, rather than healing, you continue to remain on that phase. You must understand that there are emotional baggages attached, and you need to let off those baggages one after the other. One of those things that you can do is to write a journal. Write the things that you're thinking about and that you feel in a journal. Track your healing, right? Track your healing and be sure that whatever it is that you are thinking about, you note them down. Now, research was done recently. Let me read out to you. Research was done recently. 100 people were asked. 100 people who recently experienced a breakup were asked to journal for 30 minutes a day for 3 days. Now, a portion of the participants was told to write exclusively about positive aspects of the breakup and how they've grown because of it. After the writing exercise, this group reported no increase in negative emotions and a boost of positive outcomes, including comfort, empowerment, optimism, thankfulness, and wisdom. And this is why I said you must realize that the issue is not closure. The issue is what you think and how you think. And so if you write down these things, you realize that you gradually be healing rather than you seeking closure. I'm going to wrap this up, but then I'll do some Q&A, some FAQs rather. Now, let me share the words of Frank Hirschberg with you. Now, Frank Hirschberg is a clinical professor of psychology and is a pioneer in trauma studies. And he did say in one of his words that closure is a myth, but progress is not. And I agree with that school of thought, that closure is a myth, but progress is not. How? Closure is a myth in the sense that what really happens is that you progress in your healing journey, but there's really no closure. As I'm seated right now, I would only be lying if I tell that I've experienced closure in some of the things that have happened to me in life. But I have progressed in my healing, right? And that's why I'm able to take some decisions rather than being stuck in the fact that something has happened. So you must come to that realization that, look, what is important is that you progress in your healing and not you necessarily seeking closure. So I'm going to wrap this up and I'm going to leave you the opportunity to ask questions. You can send them to me directly on social media at Toluse Francis. Do you think that closure really exists? Are there scenarios where you have tried as much as possible to experience closure, but it doesn't seem like you're experiencing closure? Let me just tell you that what you're seeking for does not exist. You are actually not seeking what you should be seeking. And what you should be seeking is that you heal. And the only way you can know that you are healing is if you track your healing journey. I did write down some FAQs here. I'll just quickly share. So is closure necessary after a breakup? Like I said, it doesn't really exist. Research has shown here and there. So when we say we are seeking closure, you are closing yourself up to healthier ways of healing, right? So rather than say that you are seeking closure, why not seek healing in itself and go through that journey? Sometimes it takes another relationship to know that you can experience a good relationship. Sometimes it takes you stepping out, right, after the loss of a loved one to interact with people again to actually understand that your life does not necessarily revolve around the person that you have lost. Let me say here that I am not belittling the grief experience when you've lost a loved one. I have lost a lot of people in my life, right? Some that sometimes I think about them, but rather than cry, I just smile. I was cooking the other day and I was smiling because I remember how my mom taught me how to cook when she was alive, and then she was running a restaurant, and I was saying to myself, oh Faith, you'll be smiling down from heaven as you watch me cook this soup, you know. So it's a journey, right? So I'm not belittling your feeling of a breakup or a failed marriage or loss of a loved one. I'm only saying do not sit there seeking closure. Instead, take your healing journey serious. Closure just means that you can't fully move on until that relationship is closed in a way such that you are confronting an ex or otherwise. That is what happens a lot of times. You are confronting an ex, you are confronting something that is gone in the name of seeking closure rather than you seeking healing in itself. So why is it called closure? Like I said, it's a gestalt psychological technique, in which case it began as a way for people to understand how the mind perceives and pictures or processes images. And one of it is the empty chair technique, in which you sit down and you're talking to an empty chair because you're imagining that the person is there. Trust me, if you try this thing, you're going to picture that person seated on that chair. That is what gestalt psychology is, and that was where closure came from. I give an example of closure, in which case I said, signing divorce paper, for example, can be closure for you. Moving out of the apartment to a shared romantic partner can be closure for you. Seeing the body of your loved one before committed to Mother Earth can be closure for you. It could be anything. But what happens afterwards? Why do you want to confront the dead? Why do you want to confront an ex before you're able to move on with your life? All right, and I'm going to wrap up by saying closure from a relationship is that belief that there's a way to end pain with some action and wipe memories clean to start a new chapter. But the truth of the matter is, you can't wipe off the memory. It's a myth to say you want to wipe off the memory. I'm not sure if that makes sense to you, but I just want you to realize that there is so much ahead of you in life, and you cannot sit down because you want to confront an ex, or you want to confront the loss of the loss of a loved one, right? Get up, dust yourself, talk to a professional, and start your healing journey. Share with people who matter to you, whom you know will not castigate, who will listen to you, and you will find yourself healing gradually. Thank you very much for watching. I know this video has been long, but I do hope that you picked one or two things from there. And trust me, because your mental health matters to me, I'm available to answer your questions. And so till I come your way again, stay jiggy.